Hello and welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show, here to review Leeds United 2, Sunderland 1. Leeds United fans where do you start with that? I'm absolutely buzzing. This review may not make any sense. My throat is gone, my voice is knackered. I am on cloud 9 with that one. Incredible end to the game. So much to get through. Please get your comments in. Just as a fan base, we're just on top of the world, aren't we? 7 points clear of third place Burnley. A huge victory tonight, a massive victory for when on an evening that looked as if it just wasn't going to quite happen for us. Not a lot of chances for Leeds tonight. And just one of those really tight games, but what a special way to win it, Jason.
Yeah, mate, I'm absolutely buzzing. I can't lie to you. At no point were I like, this game's gone. I know that we didn't create loads.
I will attest to that. Yeah, you wouldn't. You felt there was still something there.
Yeah, it just felt like we were gearing up ahead of steam, and it felt like for every time that we went forward, they were struggling to just deal with it that little bit more. And while we didn't create any blockbuster chances, it felt like they were tiring. It felt like the squad made the difference. I had to chuckle when we brought on Ramazani and they brought on Jan Poveda. And that's no disrespect, but it's just true, isn't it? And the subs. Daniel Farker just deserves all the credit tonight. He got his spot on at the right time. Well, it takes a second to score a goal, doesn't it? And you use your squad. He changed the back line around. I'm not Pascal's biggest fan at the defensively, but going forward, he offers us something that probably nobody else in the rest of the team does. And Joe Rothwell, I know we're going to be jumping around all over the place, but the two deliveries, the first one were brilliant, but it's a dead ball. The second one, to have the composure and the peace of mind to cut back onto his left foot, to open that angle up, it was undefendable. Yeah, mate, I'm absolutely buzzing, and it kind of feels a little bit like we've got one hand on promotion now. You look at the league table and you look at the gap to third and 7 points, and you don't see how it could be really conceivable that there could be a spin of that kind of magnitude. And I know we're counting as chickens, and it could feel very different again after Sheffield United next Monday. But to me, they're probably the best footballing side apart from Leeds in the division. I think they've got a lot of talent throughout that team, and even though we end up 1-0 down and whatnot, we still were by far the better team. We still deserve to win that game, and we certainly deserve to get back into the game. I thought there were a couple of really standout top performances, and you can't expect to just blow every team away, especially the teams that are in good form, up towards the top of the table, got some good players and some good know-how, play some good stuff, and overall we controlled them. One sublime moment for Isidore, who really did make a mockery of Ampadu in that moment, but it was great striker work. And we then, that aside, we didn't really have anything to do outside the first 2 or 3 minutes. Melier makes a couple of really good saves early on, but apart from that, didn't have anything else to do. So you've got to be delighted again with tonight, mate. Tonight, I know I'm waffling a bit here, but the marking of the result tonight and the way that we went about it was very much a performance of champions, a performance of a team that gets promoted. We might not have been at a scintillating best, but we were still good enough to beat one of the best teams in the division from behind. We had the squad to change the game, we had the manager to change the game, and we kept going. There weren't any. I was saying to myself, come on, one more chance with 40, 50 seconds to go, because I believe we could still just create that one big moment, and we did.
And we did, and we got it. Let's get to some of your comments. Gavin, wow. Johnny, Farker's best game as manager. And Gav again, 2 assists, 2 goals. Fair play to Joe Rothwell as well. And you know what, Jesse, it was just watching it. It was weird because all the parts were there today. It was like our press was really good today. I didn't feel anybody had a bad game. It was a bizarre game. We just couldn't create chances. We just couldn't get shots on goal. I don't think we had a shot on goal in the second half for such a long period of time. It was like all that was lacking was just getting those clear-cut chances, and it felt the rest of the performance was there in a lot of ways.
It was
what we have seen. It was just you played a better standard of team as well that were dangerous on the break, and you're spot on. They had that really early chance. Melier, fantastic save. didn't really have anything then until the goal.
Yeah.
And then, a few kind of pot shots from here, there. Yes, they were on target, but there weren't clear chances, there weren't obvious chances. And it was like Leeds were pushing and pushing. And what I absolutely love tonight is they never give up. They never gave up at all. They came out second half and they were pressing, they were on the front foot, they were in Sunderland's faces, in Sunderland's own half, forcing mistakes, forcing fouls, getting in really good positions, even if it's just set pieces. And, you can argue we were quite wasteful with set pieces before Rothwell came on. But I just absolutely loved the way we just kept going and going. And you're right, that was champion spirit. That was the belief that you are the best team in the league, that you deserve to be at the top of the league. We never gave up, and look what rewards we've got. We've got 7-point gap now over Burnley, third, and we're well on our way.
You're spot on, mate. You're absolutely spot on, and it felt like they all thought and believed that. You could see it in the body language, the way, the mannerisms in which they kept on going. I thought Dan James was just relentless tonight. I know not everything that he did came off, but the amount of times that he cut inside and just committed players. And I mean, I know we'll get into individual performances later, but I thought Joe Perreault tonight was brilliant. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. His link-up play, the kind of tenacity and aggression to get back and win the ball. He even did some of the messy stuff. Got his his body in front of the ball and in between man and ball, and bullied. He even won a header. Like, he won a flick onto Dan James in the first half. I was like, Jesus Christ, who's this?
So good shot outside box as well. That he had. He's not had for a while.
Yeah, I thought he had a great game without scoring today. If he'd have scored the second, it'd have been a perfect Joe Perreault performance. I honestly thought it was brilliant. It was my man of the match. I know Pascal or Joe Rothwell will get it, but they came on at a different stage in the game. I thought Joe Perreault was brilliant for the whole game. So mate, there's so much to love about it. Even though we found ourselves in a sticky position, it kind of actually exasperates why it was so good and why the performance was so good and why the character is so good. Even the feeling around the ground afterwards, the huddle, the Ampadu kind of, rah. I love all that. I absolutely love all that. So mate, love it. Absolutely love it. I mean, so much to get into. Like,
I know. I just want to follow up on that Dan James point as well, because you're absolutely right. What a nightmare him and Bogle are to play against down that right hand side. Because if it's not one coming at you, it's the other one coming at you, trying to cut inside, burst past you with speed. I mean, it's just non-stop, and the heads never drop. And that is great about Dan James. Like, he will, he might have like you say, not the best kind of, final decision or whatever, and he'll make a few mistakes, but he keeps going and eventually gets it right. And he's just an absolute nightmare to play against. Absolute nightmare.
I've said to you for 2 seasons, and at championship level, he just scares defenders to death. Because they haven't got the turn of pace, and they're also not that yard ahead of him, where Premier League defenders will be. They'll just have a little bit extra up here that'll navigate the speed difference. But because Dan James is so quick at this level, he's on the same level as the rest of them up here. He's just got so much. He arguably is the Championship Player of the Year. Like, nobody can dispute that, I don't think. Like, if somebody else wants to pick whoever, fine. But nobody could say you're wrong if I said Dan James was Player of the Year. He's literally just unplayable at times. He was brilliant tonight, absolutely brilliant. And you're right, him and Bogle. And then you switch it to the other side, and it's Firpo and Solomon. And I didn't think Firpo had a great game today, but I thought Solomon had a really good game again. He's just constant, and he occupies 3 players at any given time because they don't leave him on his own.
Rough him up as well, wasn't they? It's like leaving on one, and he kind of gave him a little afters as well. Like, chill out, mate. It's 20th minute. What you want about? Jesus. FV White, Rothwell, man of the match. And Digler, that's how we can break down the dreaded low block. Bring on a tall makeshift striker, indeed.
I'm not really sure about that, because he didn't come on up front, did he? That's what Mateo Joseph said. It was a set piece and then another set piece that came back in again. The big difference with having Pascal in the team over, Ampadu or whoever else is that he's just such a good aerial threat. He gives us an actual real target. If you think about our goals from set pieces, when it comes to headers, you are talking about Pascal, and then before Pascal, Liam Cooper. I know Joe Rodon scored one earlier on this season, but he's terrible in the air from attacking a point of view, isn't he? He's so bad. Like, and then we haven't got anybody else really. Ampadu's okay in the air, but he's 6 foot. He's not really a massive towering centre back. Pascal's very good at attacking set pieces, so he does give us that. But I'm not really sure that it was like, you know, get the ball deep and lump it to a target man striker. It weren't that, Warwick. So.
Indeed. Guys, if you watch along, please do smash a like on the video, get it shared out, get your comments in as well. Right, let's kind of try and have some semblance of structure to the show, if we can. If we can. Now we've got the immediate emotion out of the way. But Jason, coming into the game, team sheet out, same team as previous game. My only kind of thing was, I wonder if he'll go Rothwell or Gruev tonight. He went Gruev. Gruev's such an interesting player as well, by the way, because there was a bit where he's kind of terrible at moving forward with the football. I don't know if you realize. Did you see that bit in the first half where he was kind of, his little legs were scurrying forward with the ball, and he kind of like looked like he was going through treacle, and then he gave the worst pass out, and I was like, "You're a strange player."
The funny thing is, in that moment, I know the exact moment that you're talking about, weren't far into the game, and he played a bit of a hospital pass towards Solomon and got cut out. But in the build-up to that, he'd actually megs the midfielder. Like before, like he is a very, very odd player. I've said it before. Like he always wants to carry the ball on his left side. He cannot carry the ball on his right foot, so it always makes him like kind of position his body around the ball all the time. It's really, really odd. But defensively, he is so underrated and undervalued by fans because he just occupies spaces really, really well. I thought he had an all right game tonight. His distribution wasn't great, but he did what he's in there to do, and he didn't give Sunderland a lot of joy. Him and Tanaka were both very, very good at plugging them spaces. The big disappointment with Gruev tonight was his delivery. I find it bizarre, really, really bizarre, that Mano Solomon's not on every set piece. Given his technical ability to whip a ball in, and the fact that he's tiny, I just think, why are you not just out taking the corners? I don't get it. But and like Gruev's deliveries are all right, but they've never been brilliant, have they? Like he's never not like Rothwell's. Rothwell's are consistently really good. He gets 1 in 2, I would say, pretty much bob on, and then it can be sometimes the fault of the players in the box to not get on the end of it. Whereas Gruev, it tends to be 1 in 4 or 5, maybe.
He had a few stinkers as well.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one where it was out, not too dissimilar from Rothwell took his, and it was just before, and it was such a flat ball that hit it. And first man, you're like, oh, come on, Ilya. You know, he did pull up a few like that, but you know, like you said, the defensive side, you know, he plugs those gaps, doesn't he? And you know, that Sunderland, you know, as a team as well. I mean, it was always it's all about fast counter attacks, isn't it? Fast breaks. You know, I think they're just behind us in terms of how many goals are scored on fast breaks. And that, do you think that was Farkas thinking? He was thinking, okay, we might lose a bit of that kind of Rothwell creativity, but with Gruev, we're just going to make sure that we're not countered on too easily. Even though, I mean, you know, they did kind of get the goal from that kind of situation, but you're not going to stop it completely.
Like sometimes the way that we talk, it's like we just expect the opposition to never lay a glove on us ever. It's just not the way that it is. Like, you know, their goal came from a long ball really into the channel, and he just had Ampadu on toast, didn't it? But it didn't really come from a counter as such, like not in the traditional sense of a break with like 4 or 5 players scurrying forward. Like I think we navigated what they do really, really well. The worst moment came early. That first chance where Enzo Laffi, by the way, had an awful night. Like he was back pocketed by that right hand side all game, and you know some people will say that he's one of the best players in the division. He was the signing that everybody said that we should have gone and got. I even said he potentially could have got in our starting 11. And outside of the first 2 minutes where he got the wrong side of Jayden Bogle and cut the ball back, we gave him nothing. We gave him not a sniff. The Stadium Alliance, especially first half, they did that move a few times where they got to the byline and cut the ball back to the edge of the box, and then we're having shots on goal. Tonight we gave them 1. So you can't really grumble.
Gruev slipped on it as well.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. You're right. And I mean, you can't grumble with that. And like I say, most of the time, Gruev and Tanaka were just kind of dealing with them pockets of spaces. And what we did really well tonight, and it was clear that it was an instruction from the offset, was that we pressed them extremely high. And to do that effectively takes unbelievable training. You have to drill that, because if one of you doesn't go, it leaves a gap and then you're in trouble. And at the Premier League level, it's different because they can pop them passes off, and before you know it, they're in behind. At Championship level, if you get that press right, it's brilliant. So yeah, absolute spot on. And tactically, I thought it made perfect sense to go with that team. I really did. I think in hindsight, could you then said Pascal could go in there and deal with the physical presence of Isidore more? Maybe. But I'm not going to lie. I think if Isidore plays up against Pascal for the first 70 minutes, I think he has a lot of success against him because of Pascal's deficiencies defensively. So I think it's horses for courses. The period of game in which Pascal came on for was perfect for him and allowed Ethan to push into midfield and give us more than Gruev does in the midfield. So I don't think it's just then I think he will come back in for the next game, by the way. But I don't think it's just a ready-made answer because of what happened that then Pascal comes and starts at centre-back. Personally, I don't think that.
No, absolutely. And I know we're kind of dashing about, but I mean, my thinking when we were 1-0 down, I was suddenly thinking, oh, next week might be a little bit more pressure on next week now, because, if you lose this game today, that gap to Burnley obviously is cut a little bit. I know Burnley drew, but it's still cut. Sunderland have gained. Sheffield United have got the outright advantage. Suddenly next week, there's a little bit more pressure on it. I mean, it was so vital, isn't it, not to be in that situation. We didn't really want to be going to Bramall Lane feeling like we have to win, because I think we would have needed a statement result. Even though the points were still ahead and everything, I still feel like if we'd have lost tonight, we'd have really had to go there next week and do something, because to kind of have back-to-back potentially defeats would just be a bit of a nightmare, to be honest.
I know what you're saying.
Points-wise, it's not really, we can still lose them and still go up. But
I know what you're saying. I mean, I don't really think that this team, has a problem with dealing with pressure. We've been in situations before which have been high pressured, and we kind of come out on top line. You don't deal with the way that we did in that game if you are buckling under pressure. We dealt with it, and like I say, Rothwell in the last throws of the game does what he does to have the composure, cut that back in, and we score that goal in that way. Like, for me, if we'd have drawn or lost tonight, it wouldn't have been the end of the world. Like, we've lost 3 games all season and we're undefeated since November and have won, undefeated in 16 games now. It is so 15 before tonight. Like, if you lose against Sunderland, who are 4th and one of the best attacking teams in the division, you're not going to be like, right, the season's over. Because after Sheffield United, we've got a lot of winnable games and we probably will win most of them. So it wouldn't have been the end of the world for me tonight. But I think what it does do is it gives us now the license to really go at Sheffield. Like, losing to Sheffield United isn't the end of the world, more so than losing to Sunderland, because Sheffield United's away for first. And secondly, they're one of the teams that occupy the top 2. The gap isn't to Sunderland or Burnley. It's to Sheffield United. You know what I mean? So losing to them will actually be far less detrimental than losing tonight would have been. So, in my opinion, anyway, that's the way that I kind of see it, because I don't care about winning the division as such. It's about the gap to 3rd and 4th. So, for me, we can go there knowing we can really put it on them.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm getting ahead of myself here, but if we do win on Monday night, it's done. It's done. It's done. Yeah. We are too good. And we will have too much of a gap to throw that away for the top 2. It's done. So, in some sense, it's a big game. It's a massive game for us as fans, because we can just enjoy the rest of the season then, because we're already promoted.
Exactly. A couple of comments here I want to throw up as well. F.E. White, Rothwell must start. Great drive from midfield. And Digler, Rothwell has earned a start at the Bloods. I guess, is that the mistake? Is that not to pick on Digler or F.E., but is this the trap we fall into, fans, that...
Yeah.
It's game state, and if Rothwell had started tonight, maybe Sunderland would have had more joy. And
100%.
That's the kind of thing we can't get into. And Gruev away from home, certainly it's worked so well, hasn't it?
I mean, go and have a look at their points total. When Gruev plays in the midfield, we usually win games. Or Ampadu. It can be either of them. I'm not saying it has to be, but when Rothwell and Tanaka are in there together, especially away from home, our success rate is far less. And I do think this is something that we do as fans. We're very, very guilty of doing this. We see a 20-minute cameo and just be like, right, he has to start. That's it. He's a saviour. Bring him back in. Rothwell's brilliant. And I've sang his praises all season. And I think for most home games and most away games, to be honest, you can put Rothwell in there and get so much more in output out of him going forward than you can Gruev. Get it completely. But Gruev gives us so much. You have to bear in mind how attacking our fullbacks are. So if Firpo starts and Bogle starts, which Bogle always will, but especially if Firpo starts on the other side, them two are going to be gone, guys. So then you need somebody with the defensive ability and the tenacity and the nous and the discipline, because it takes a lot of discipline when your team's always up there to shepherd in that back three. And Rothwell won't do that, really. You know, Tanaka can do it to a point, but he's better going the other way as well. So you do need a Gruev or an Ampadu to do that role. So I wouldn't be... For me, I reckon he'll start exactly the same side, maybe with Pascal at centre-back and Ampadu back in the midfield. But I would be stunned if you see Tanaka and Rothwell. Absolutely stunned on Monday night if you see both of them. There's no chance. No chance.
No, absolutely no. I would as well. What was I going to say then? I had a point about next week, but I can't remember what the hell I was going to say. Anyways, never mind. So, I mean, Leeds, from going 1-0 down and... what I was really impressed with was how they kind of stuck to the task. And it was one of those games, I mean, Brendan Aronson tonight, I mean, it was an interesting one because he didn't see much of the ball, really, did he? He didn't get so many opportunities to kind of show his stuff. And maybe, he's kind of, his touch wasn't always kind of perfect and that kind of thing. What did you make of Brendan's performance tonight? Because my fear is... and we kind of always do this as fans, is like we kind of look for that kind of negative, or we look, and I can imagine what some of the comments about Brendan are tonight, because it's not been a kind of showcase game, but it's part of the cog, isn't it? It's part of the machine that makes it work. And it was just a hard work game, wasn't it? It was, you need him in there to shut things down.
I thought it was fine. Like, I mean, he's a bit of my blue-eyed boy, so I feel very defensive towards him just because I think
Brendan as well.
He gets so much unfair criticism.
Yeah.
And like for me tonight, again, even when Brendan has a quiet game in terms of possession or assists or link up or whatever, he always does the other stuff. And so often midfielders, especially attacking midfielders, a number 10, won't do the other bit. So they'll have a bad game, the touch will be off, the passes will be off or whatever, and then they'll do none of the other stuff, none of the dirty work. He always does that. And I can't say it enough. Like, the amount of times he puts pressure on the ball and then the ball ends up being turned over because the pass is overhit or underhit because it was under pressure from Brendan Aronson. And I didn't think his link-up play was that bad. I thought second half he went missing a little bit in the build-up, but I thought that was more because Joel Perreault got involved, and it was between Dan James and Joel Perreault, or Solomon and Perreault. It kind of seemed to be Perreault doing a lot of that creativity stuff today. But I thought Brendan had a pretty good first half, to be honest.
Yeah. Solid away. Sorry, I was just going to say, because you mentioned it, that's what I wanted to have a chat. You mentioned like Firpo not being at his absolute best, and I don't know about you, but sometimes Firpo has these performances where he looks a little bit like not 100% fit. And I got a 100%. Feeling he didn't look 100% fit tonight. He looked a little bit kind of leggy at times.
He was done at the end, wasn't he? He was done at the end. I mean, he had a moment where the ball came towards him, and Paveda just got there first, and he was like, Firpo just trudged across, and then Paveda started running away, and he just grabbed him. He was like, I am not chasing you, mate. Now, you're absolutely spot on. I think sometimes watching Firpo, it's like he never sprints. It's like his stride is always in third gear. It's like he's not fully going at it. I've always thought that about him, and I just thought I always kind of assumed it was just a mannerism. Obviously, what he gives us going forward is brilliant. His delivery has been brilliant this season. But yeah, he definitely has got that in his locker. I'd have made that change a little bit earlier, if I'm honest, tonight, because I thought Firpo was showing that he would blow in for about 10-15 minutes before that. But I can't bash Junior anymore. At this level, he's sensational because of what he gives us going forward. Yeah,
absolutely. In terms of the subs, then, Jason, obviously, Farker, this has been a stick that has been used to beat Farker before about his substitutions, not making them early enough, not making the right kind of substitutions and everything. But I mean, as Johnny alluded to earlier in the chat, is this just perfect game management from Farker? He's brought those subs on at a crucial time, and I mean, it couldn't have worked any better.
Yeah, no, it couldn't. I mean, again, this is why managers are managers and we're just fans sat at home, because the change for Rothwell and Pascal, I don't think many people would have made that change. They'd have left Tanaka on. They'd have probably taken Gruev off and brought Rothwell on for Gruev. But instead, give us that little bit of a different dynamic, the passing distribution of Ampadu, the leadership in that midfield. Pascal comes on for an aerial threat. He knows that we're going to get more set pieces. Rothwell comes on, set piece delivery, brilliant set piece delivery, gives us a bit more going forward than Gruev. It was a perfect change at the perfect moment. And when he then made the second set of changes, I was thinking, is he going to stop them? Because he had them ready and then we scored. And then he brought them on instantly as a goal went in, because he brought Brendan off and dropped Joel into the number 10. But it was perfect because Perrault was actually having a really good game at linking the play up. As I said, during the second half, he was doing most of the link up play anyway. It wasn't Brendan. And Joseph, I thought, did all right when he came on as well. He was fully at it in terms of like getting at people, which is fine. Like, you can he's not fully ready for some of the other stuff, but you can put 100% in. And he did. You know what I mean? And he did have
the down, get in the face. Yeah, I agree.
And he had a couple of moments where he linked up fine. I thought Ramazani had a couple of moments. For me, I still think he's miles off full flowing fitness, and he's definitely nowhere close to displacing Solomon. I mean, Solomon is just lights out. And just talking on the subs for a second, it shows you how far Willie Nonto is away from being of real impact, because he comes on when we're winning 2 or 3-0, and that's fine. But when Daniel Farker needs to turn to the bench to change a game, he doesn't look at Willie Nonto now. He's looking at Ramazani, he's looking at Joseph, he's looking at the midfield. Nonto's way down that pecking order. So, but that's a different point altogether. He got it spot on tonight, mate. Absolutely spot on. I mean, it gets a little bit lucky that Pascal ends up being on the end of both of the crosses. But the dynamic of the game changed. And you've got to give him all the credit for that. All the credit.
Absolutely, yeah. And interesting about Nonto, yeah, absolutely. Because I popped into the kitchen, get myself a drink, popped back in. I was like, where's Nonto? Because I was just expecting to see him when the substitutions were on, because I didn't actually see the substitutions being made. I was like, where's Nonto? And then, nowhere to be seen. Well, still on the bench.
How often do we actually have to make subs to impact a game? It's very, very rare, because we usually are winning by that point anyway. So then you've got no threat in trying to, you bring Nonto on to try and build his confidence up, trying to build his match sharpness up. You bring Ramazani on for the same reasons, and the substitutions look scripted. Tonight, they were made because they needed to change a game.
Yeah.
And that's what a manager's paid for. So often when people are losing their mind at 2-0 up and we've not made a change to the 70th minute, well, in his head, it doesn't really matter. You don't want to change the flow of the game, whereas we needed to change the flow of the game tonight, and he got it spot on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, 100% correct. 100% correct. Nige here. Evening, guys. Great win. Laboured performance. Poor booking of Farker. He misses the Lund's game. Now, what's gone on with this Farker thing? So has he been booked for being celebrating?
Yeah. So he was booked in there's a couple of points I want to talk about in that. So let's go back to that comment on its whole in a minute. But yeah, I mean, Neil Warnock even said it after the game, didn't he? I mean, if your manager can't celebrate in front of his own fans, scoring a 94th minute winner in a potential promotion clinching victory, then like the game's just gone, hasn't it? It's just gone. But yeah, he's had 3 bookings now, so he will be in the stands for the game against Sheffield United. Unfortunately, I don't think there's any way that can retrospectively be changed because it's a yellow card. It is stupid. I mean, I personally don't think it makes any difference. I really don't. Like, I think your manager being on the touchline doesn't necessarily change anything. The message usually gets put across anyway. The players have drilled it all week. I'm not a massive believer in that it actually makes that much of a difference come game day personally. But yeah, it's more disappointing from a football perspective. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what we're trying to do, we're not just making this a transactional experience, it's emotional.
Absolutely.
So,
I hate that, isn't it? When it feels like they're trying to suck the emotion out of it, especially a moment like that.
On that point.
Yes, go for it, mate.
I'm just interested to know Nigel's opinion on laboured performance. Like, what does that mean? Like, we're playing fourth in the league, one of the most formed teams in the division. They've taken, in the run that we've had, we've taken 24 points out of the last 30 or whatever it is. They've taken, I think it was 20. So that, they're not that far in the form table outside of us. We knew it was going to be a tricky game. What do you mean by laboured? Because they're a good side and they defended really well. And then we came back to win the game after dominating 80% of the game. I think I'm fair in saying that, without creating some massive, massive chances. I think the word laboured performance is really, really harsh. Was it our scintillating best? No, I get that. But even at our scintillating best, we're not going to blow Sunderland away. It's probably going to look similar to that with a few more clear-cut chances. So I think that's so harsh.
Yeah, Nige, come on. What do you got to say, mate? Gavin, I think Mackems are a better side than Blunts. I mean, you thought that as well, haven't you, Jason? I mean, it was tonight actually the tougher game than next week. But I mean, I watched Sheffield United against Middlesbrough. Every time I watch Sheffield United, I'm not impressed particularly. I'm not. Listen, I don't want to kind of rag on them or anything, because look, they were top until the 94th minute tonight, and look, they've done a fantastic job, but they're not brilliant, are they? They're not amazing. I mean, Middlesbrough, if they'd have just been slightly more competent, they could have won that game.
I think Sunderland play nicer football, and I think that's what Gav means. I think they're definitely nicer to watch. I think Sheffield United are just very workmanlike. They've got a really good efficiency, and they've got some really good players. Gustavo Hamer should be nowhere near the Championship. Ahmed Mozovic, the centre-back, should be nowhere near the Championship. Like, Sunderland don't have many of them, if any, if I'm honest. They might not have any. Whereas Sheffield United have 3-4 of them. They have some really, really good players. So I get it, but I don't know. I think Sheffield United away is a tougher game than Sunderland at home.
Yeah.
If you're talking about them both away from home at this stage in the season, you'd probably be right, because I wouldn't want to go up to Stadium of Light now and have to try and win a game. So, and I think we're also comparing what we've seen of Sheffield United in terms of against Leeds, and at home we made light work of Sheffield United, didn't we? So I think we're kind of going into this second game kind of expecting something of the same. I think we'll win that game. I know we'll get on to that, but I still think that's a slightly tougher assignment on paper than Sunderland is at Ellen Road.
Yeah, I get that. Some comments coming in then from Daniel Farker. Well-deserved win on the statistics, nearly 70% possession, 21 shots. Did we have 21 shots tonight? They're a very good counter-attacking side, defending structured, have to fight for the goal, and we did this. And on Joe Rothwell, he's saying we don't have to speak about Joe's quality. He's a pure baller. One of the best players in this country with the ball, with his right foot, passing technique, touches, outstanding set pieces, driving the game forwards. If you enjoy football, you enjoy Joe Rothwell. I mean, Joe Rothwell has been absolutely sensational this season, far, far more than we thought. And our very own Chris Bell on the West Yorkshire Football Show, I think he's going to be eating some humble pie. Chris, what are you saying now, mate? What are you saying now? Come on.
I mean, Chris is not on his own, and this is before I come to Ben's comment, by the way, because that lad's talking some waffle. Chris is not on his own. Me and you were both we kind of pigeonholed Joe Rothwell into being this squad option. He's a bench option. He'll be lucky if he sees minutes. And I am, I'd like to think of myself as having some pretty good football IQ. Like I love the game, not just in terms of Leeds United. I watch all sorts of types of football. I was aware of Joe Rothwell as a player, but I was proved completely wrong in terms of his overall talent. The lad is levels above what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was a very much a mid-table championship midfielder. The lad is sublime. He's a fantastic footballer. He's got a brilliant footballing IQ. He carries the ball extremely well. His delivery is brilliant. He dictates the pace and the tempo of the game brilliantly. And he is more than capable of starting games for any team that's going for a promotion battle in the championship. And I'd be more than happy with him being a squad option in the Premier League. More than happy. I don't know if I want to pay the money that Bournemouth are wanting because I'm hearing some silly fees, but in terms of his ability, for your first 1 or 2 seasons in the Premier League, he's absolutely fine. He's a very, 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 very good player.
Yeah, we'll just get to Nige and then we'll have a look at some of these other comments.
Salty after winning 2-1, yeah, all right.
Nige, following up on his Labour comment, first half we looked afraid to push up on top as we have been, not wanting to get caught on the counter. Pace was too slow. Better second half when we pushed on more. Results showed that.
I think the thing is, though, Nigel, with that is you build into that moment, don't you? A game is 90 minutes long or 95 minutes, with added time tonight. Like, you don't have to go and try and win the game in the first half. And you build up that pressure. You deal with Sunderland in terms of their attacking abilities in the way that you do by not getting caught 2 or 3 times going the other way in the first half. We got caught once. That was it. They didn't really have much else to show for it. And we defended fairly well, and then we built into that moment in the game. I don't think you can just go and blow teams away every week, can you? You just can't. Not with the attacking intent that they've got, the ability that they've got going the other way. You have to respect your opponents. I think he got it spot on. Laboured. I think I've got a problem with the word laboured because I would say that was kind of we coasted through it. Yeah, we struggled with it. We weren't. I agree that the ball could have been moved a bit quicker. In the first half, I can hear that, but I think there's a reason why it wasn't, because Sunderland were up on the toes. They'd nip in and pick off a wayward pass, and you concede a second, and you're out of the game. So these things matter, and that's why when you're still 1-0 down in the 78th minute, but you've got the opportunity to bring the players on and change the game in the way that you do. The game's still a long way from over. And we proved that. So I don't got a problem with the performance at all. Sunderland, a good side. Good side.
No, absolutely. And that's another thing, because I thought Sunderland were trying to be quite physical with Leeds United tonight as well. I think they were trying to get in our faces. I think they were quite rough. Solomon obviously took a few beatings, but, we withstood all that, didn't we? We handled that kind of physical side, and we weren't afraid to kind of, keep going and keep driving, and that's massive, when you're coming up against a team that probably less talented than us, but are absolutely going to fight for everything.
Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%.
Finish up on some of Daniel Farker's comments. He says, I have to check on the yellow card ban. Before this season, I had 1 yellow in my career, 2 doubtful yellows this season, always the same 4th official like today. If I miss Bramall Lane due to a celebration, then I have to adapt to the rules. And then it says, to experience nights like this as a group, important we allow ourselves to feel proud of this win. Yeah, it's like you said as well, Jason, fantastic to see Farker celebrating with his staff, the players gathering together at the end of the game. And, you can see how much it means to them, really, because they know, don't they? They know that, it's a massive result, that absolutely massive. And, we've talked how many times and the pressure playing, Leeds United. And it was funny how, I'll have to kind of see what people who were at the game tonight, what the atmosphere was like, because I can imagine what Ellen Road was like tonight. But I can imagine, how difficult it could be playing where it's like, that sense of trepidation there, you can just feel it in the crowd, it must be so difficult at times. That shirt wears heavy, but, these boys keep going.
Yeah, I mean, it's special to have that. Not many players will be able to enjoy that type of pressure and, crowd and fan base in their career. That's just the truth. But you're right. Like, it has been too much for a lot of players over the years. And this group seem to thrive on it. They seem to deal with it, and they seem to enjoy it. And we keep on showing, or they keep on showing, that they're able to kind of rise above it and come through and like really deserve these moments. You know what I mean? So I think I think the Huddersfield fans on one. I mean, just so you know, Ben, this show's not all about you. It's about Leeds fans. I mean, the fact that a Huddersfield Town fan is in this chat in the first place says everything about you and your club. So I'll give you your moment of, in the sun, if you like. But yeah,
Downs' burner account.
Maybe Downs' burner account. I mean, like I say, I think it's actually hilarious that at 11 o'clock at night you've got a Huddersfield Town fan in a Leeds stream after Leeds have just won. And the funny thing is, we've seen Ben on the show before, so he knows us and he knows the deal. But yeah, I'm not just able to just sit and have a one-on-one conversation with you, Ben. If you want to do that, we can do that afterwards. There's no problem. I'm down for that. So yeah, just dealing with that. So yeah, mate, I think you're spot on. I think the way that the players have kind of adapted and gone about it, because it isn't the same as what Burnley, Sheffield United and Sunderland are having to deal with on a week-to-week basis. It's just not.
No.
So, and Daniel Farke and the players deserve all the credit in the world for dealing with that.
Looking at the wider context, then looking at the weekend's results, Burnley dropping points again, another clean sheet for them. Unreal. I mean, 9 goals conceded after 33 games. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. However, it's another 0-0. They've not put the ball in the back of the net, and they've dropped further behind now. And it's been a fantastic weekend for Leeds again. I mean, am I bothered Sheffield United one? No, not really.
They only just squeezed it through as well.
They only just squeezed it through. But I mean, it really has just, the league table. I mean, we would have dreamt for this position, wouldn't we, at the start?
Yeah, 100%, mate. I mean, look, I'm going to keep saying this. We're the best team in the division, so we are where we should be. I still think the players and Daniel Farke deserve massive credit for that, but that's the truth. He's meeting expectations. It is the honest assessment. We can't finish behind Sheffield United when I keep on saying we've got a better team than Sheffield United, we've got a better manager than Sheffield United. So we couldn't have hoped for much more. That's absolutely the case. If it weren't for a couple of thrown points away against Sunderland, a couple of thrown points away against Hull would be even further. I mean, the gap should be bigger. But like I said, Daniel Farke and the players deserve all the credit for that. But I can't say that it's not what I thought we would. When I started seeing this team getting a full floor, I thought we would be the cream of the crop this season. I just think we're the best team in the division. So, and time is proving that. So Sunderland have beaten both Sheffield United and Burnley. They should have lost both times to us. I mean, we've seen us against Burnley, and we've seen us against Sheffield United, and then really outside of the odd exception when we've been miles off it in a couple of games, we've not looked like ever dropping points. Really, you know what I mean? In a game of football, you're always going to have outliers. You do lose and draw games that you shouldn't do, but most of the time, Blackburn away, really, I would say, is the only time this season that somebody could say to me, you deserve to lose that game, and I wouldn't be able to really argue. I'd be like, okay, fair enough, yeah. I think every other game, I think we've been pretty good in.
We've been pretty spot on, haven't we? Absolutely. And 13 games left to go now, Jason. Sheffield United, obviously, that's the big one. This time next week, we'll be probably right here doing a stream straight after that one as well. Going into that one now, I mean, it's not that the pressure's off or anything because we've won tonight, but like you mentioned earlier, we can just kind of go into that game and just do our stuff, can't we? I mean, that's kind of what is most impressive about us at the moment is, we don't look to be playing with that fear, do we? We're not fearful about, we just look confident, which is great to see. And going into that game next week, Jason, do you expect that to be the approach again? Do you think tonight will give us even a bigger spring in a step?
Yeah, I mean, you could actually argue, I know we've been back and forward with the debate of which game is the hardest. You could argue that dealing with the pressure of Ellen Road, it is a bit more difficult for Leeds players than it will be playing away at Sheffield United. They can go there and kind of have the shackles off a little bit more, especially after winning tonight. It kind of gives them the grace. Like I said, we can really go at them. So, yeah, maybe, mate, maybe. And I don't approach. I don't know how you feel now at this stage of the season, but I don't approach any game now with the fear that I did last season. Every game was stress, and I was desperate for us to win.
Yeah.
This season, I'm looking forward to the games. I was a bit nervous about today because I understood the size and the magnitude of what the game meant, but I was still looking forward to it. Whereas last season, it just felt stress.
Oh.
I like I said, I just think we're so much better than everybody that we play this season. That sounds extremely egotistical and big-headed. It does, but I think there's Leeds, Sheffield United, Burnley, and Sunderland, and then the rest. That's how I see the division this season, and it's not. I think the Championship is overall a lot weaker than it was last season. Top and bottom. I think the bottom sides are weaker than the ones that were there last season, and I think the teams at the top are weaker with the exception of Leeds. I think this version of Leeds finishes second last season behind Leicester. We could have even won it. I think we'd have picked Ipswich for the second spot. This Leeds team is better than last season's Leeds team, but then the other three are nowhere near the version of the three from last season. I'm mumbling all over the place here, but Ipswich, Leicester, and Southampton were way better than Burnley, Sheffield United, and Sunderland. Way better. So I just, like I said, I think it's just exactly where we should be, and we can kind of just enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things as well where we've really got to soak it up, haven't we? We've really got to enjoy these moments like tonight where you score a last minute winner. Because I mean, obviously, when we started doing these streams, we were terrible. We were absolutely terrible. We watched our team suffer for a long time in the Premier League, and look, that's what's kind of getting closer into the picture now, is being back in the Premier League, and you see how difficult it is for those teams. I mean, even watching a bit of West Ham at the weekend, they're terrible.
Yeah.
And you they won a European competition, 2 seasons ago or something, and it's so fragile in there in the Premier League. And I think I've kind of come to a realization where it's really got to enjoy this kind of championship run at the minute, where we're winning games, we're dominant, and everything's kind of hunky-dory, because we have no idea. We could absolutely go back into Premier League and be relegated, and easy, it could easily happen. All it does is, you get a few transfers wrong, or it doesn't quite work, and you're done, aren't you? So we've really just got to kind of revel in it, haven't we? Really,
100%. And it takes a long time for a club to establish themselves in the Premier League, unless you get a little bit lucky with, a batch of recruitment that can kind of take you beyond that step. But we're seeing it this season. Man United and Spurs played each other Sunday, and at the start of the game, they were 15th and 16th. They're the teams that are in and around that area. I know they're both having bizarre seasons for their own reasons, but it just shows you how much these teams that notoriously would be in and around the bottom three have kind of stepped up. Everton have put a few wins together, and they're completely safe already. The bottom four are already cut adrift. It's Wolves, Ipswich, Southampton, and Leicester, and then Southampton, and that's it, isn't it? And the rest of the league is in a bracket above them. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right, mate, and saying it all season. I'd rather be winning games and first in the Championship than Southampton.
Yeah,
that's just the reality, isn't it? And hopefully we can recruit to not have that next season.
Yeah, there is nothing worse than kind of what we went through in the kind of relegation season, where it's like we game in, game out. It's like loss, and and you look at tonight, and it's like just it's just the best feeling, in it. That's what it's about, in it, football. And hopefully we'll have some nice moments if we get promoted. But tonight, that is just special, isn't it? I mean, I'll be watching that all again tomorrow, no doubt about it.
Yeah, you have to enjoy it. You absolutely have to enjoy it, because the result of them winning this division, which is obviously what we want, is to then go and have a season in the Premier League. But the facts are, is in the Premier League, it's a good season if you finish 17th out of 20, especially in your first season, maybe even your first 2 seasons. So you've got to strap in and get used to maybe only winning 8, 9, 10, 11 games if you're lucky. So 100%, mate. I couldn't agree with it more. We've had so many years of shit. Yeah. Before the Bielsa era, the Championship was all we knew for year after year after year, where we didn't come anywhere near what we're dealing with right now. And what we've got, we're extremely lucky right now.
Yeah, we are.
Extremely lucky to have what we have right now.
Yeah, do you know what? I think that's actually a really key point, because I was sat there tonight, and it dawned on me, like you say, we had basically 16 years of probably 13 or 14 of those seasons were absolute trash, and and that's and look at us now. Now we're like a team with a 49 or 50 plus goal difference or something. I mean, it's the best in Europe. I mean, it's outrageous.
We scored nearly double Burnley's goals, by the way, nearly double.
It's insane, isn't it? It really is insane. Jason, before we wrap up, then, any other comments, mate? Anything you want to get off your chest before we do? Before we go?
I'm not giving Ben any more airtime. He can have me just saying this because he's just talking shit, innit? So if he's still watching, but yeah,
are you there?
Yeah, it's just part of being on the internet, innit?
All the haters out tonight, haven't we?
I know Downsy were trying to have a go earlier. You know what? I don't care, me. I don't think I'm stressed about next season. And if we come down next season, we come down next season. We'll play another season in Championship and have a battle. At least then you got parachute payments reset, and you're still trying to build for that progression. There's the Premier League is filled with teams that have done that. Bournemouth, Fulham. There's others as well that have been promoted, gone back down, been promoted again, and then being able to build on top of that. So I'm not worried about it. Like, you can't start stressing about the negatives of next season. And why would that put you off of enjoying this season? It's stupid. Yeah. So yeah, we're the best team in the Championship, and we should enjoy being the best team in the Championship. There's a chance that this team, is held in the bracket of some of the best Championship teams ever. It's miles ahead in terms of points than Bielsa's. As much as I love Bielsa and Bielsa's team, this team is eclipsing it. If it continues, with now 14 games to go, we still stand a chance of the points record, which I don't think we'll get, but we're still in it with 14 games to go. That's insane. And I think of the Wolves team and the Newcastle team, them two arguably are the best Championship teams ever. I'd say this team's in and around that. And if we continue to win games at the rate that we are, we could go down as even better than both of them. So let's just enjoy that while we can.
100%. And I think on that note, perfect note to leave the show. Thank you very much for everyone who got involved, got your comments in. If you've not already, please like the video. And if you're watching this again later, drop your comments in as well. How does that one feel, Leeds United fans? A special, special win for the Whites tonight. Myself and Jason, we will be back.
One for Ilan Melier. Yes. That's what I'm saying. One for Ilan.
Yes. And a couple of good saves in there. Go on, Iceman. We will be back next Monday, myself and Jason, to review Sheffield United versus Leeds United in another massive game. Hopefully, we'll be just as happy then. But thank you very much for watching. I've been Stephen Brown. Alongside me has been Jason Booker. Jason, thank you very much, mate.
Thank you, mate.
And we will see you again next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.